I just think, like if you want to be in business, have a red hot at it.
No one's got any right to shit on someone else's decision in life. I'm a bit fucking useless. This is as good as I'm going to do, but be honest with yourself.
I scratch my head when I think about these quotas, because why can't the best people for the job just be in that? And fuck me, half the time, the women are the better people.
To me, it's pathologically, horrifically patronising, and it's women patronising women. That's the bit that I don't get. I know just as many imposters in business that are male or female.
Hello and welcome to the Real Biz Life Chronicles, where we discuss all things business, branding and life from the Horizon Digital podcast recording studio here in Perth. I'm your host Tracy, the founder of Design Studio Perth, and because Design Studio Perth is dedicated to helping business owners grow with distinction through captivating branding and design, we're offering all our listeners a free brand discovery. So if you find yourself frustrated with your current brand and you're not too sure where to next, use the link in the show notes below to book in a time to have a chat. Now, the Real Biz Life Chronicles is on a mission to become one of Australia's leading business podcasts, but in order to do that, we please need your help. If you do enjoy today's episode, we please ask that you like and subscribe to our channels below, or simply share this episode with a fellow business owner who is doing one of the hardest things in the world, building a business. Now, I don't know about you, but I find some of the best conversations are had over a great cup of coffee. And so the coffee for the Real Biz Life Chronicles is brewed by no other than the legends at Kappa Cartel. They offer a full valet corporate service for you and your crew at the office. So today is going to be the second exclusive episode on the Real Biz Life Chronicles. Having said that, business can be one of the most rewarding things you ever do. It gives you purpose, it stretches you, it introduces you to parts of yourself you didn't even know existed. It's exciting, empowering, alive. But it's also personal, and that means it's not always easy. Behind every bold decision, late night idea, and big win, there's pressure, doubt, fear, and moments where it feels like no one else really gets it. This episode of the Real Biz Life Chronicles is about that side of business. Unfiltered, unpolished, unapologetic. I've brought together three business owners who's lived it, the highs, the heartbreak, and the growth that comes with it. If you're tired of the surface level strategies and sugar-coated advice that doesn't actually work, you're in the right place. For those of you that missed the first exclusive episode, let me introduce you to our panel. We've got Paul Claessen. Paul's been through the trenches. He's built companies from scratch, turned around an A-listed tech business, and survived the kind of pressure most people never talk about. Through Paul Claessen Consulting and his group coaching course Ignite, he backs gutsy business owners with strategy, support, and the kind of truth most consultants won't say out loud. He's an intentional reader, a deep thinker, and someone who cares deeply about his clients. And when he's not deep in strategy or calling out BS, you'll find him on a bike clocking some serious Ks. Sophie Stott isn't just running a family business, she's reshaped it. Since stepping in as managing director of QuickMail, she's transformed a long-standing mailing company into a modern e-commerce and distribution engine. Today, it services over 200 clients and turns over 7 figures, proof that legacy and innovation can go hand in hand. But Sophie's leadership goes beyond the numbers. She's known for staying calm under pressure, thinking strategically, and making bold calls when it counts. She leads with integrity, backs her team fully, and holds a strong sense of purpose in everything that she does. She's also an incredible mom who somehow makes it all work, proving that you don't have to choose between business and family. And when she's not leading at work, she's leading in the arena, pursuing competitive show jumping with the same discipline, energy, and drive she brings to her business. Marcus Procopio isn't your average lawyer, and that's exactly why people trust him with high-stakes stuff. With over 20 years of legal experience spanning litigation, business, property, and advisory work, Marcus brings sharp thinking, calm presence, and straight talk to every table he sits at. He's the founder of Procopio Legal, where he helps business owners navigate complexity with clarity. Whether it's a boardroom battle or making a make or break deal, he's known for cutting through noise, calling things as they are, and making the law feel less like a maze and more like a roadmap. But Marcus doesn't just operate on paper. He's a thinker, a strategist, and a steady hand in moments that matter most. And when he's not in lawyer mode, you'll find him playing guitar, training at the gym, or harvesting fruit from his fruit trees that he patiently nurtured over time, because growth matters to him in all forms. So today we're going to speak about 3 different topics. The first one being management. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks,
Tracy.
Tracy. Thanks for having me back.
Perfect. Guys, the first topic we're going to speak about is management. So leading without losing yourself. What's the hardest truth you've had to learn about managing people, and where do you think most business owners get it wrong? So, did you want to kick us off?
So, leading without losing yourself, that's a big statement. I think it is hard. It's hard to pull everything together and on all the good days go to work and be consistent. And I think we spoke about consistency in the last podcast as well. So, I think really being able to show up all the time and be the person that you want to be is a real challenge. I find it personally pretty challenging, but your team will bounce off you and you can learn a lot from them. And again, I think I said this last time around being able to see when you didn't get it right and course correct and keep going. So, that's my kind of first thought on that.
Paul?
I've got 3 points. First of all, I'd always distinguish management from leadership. Leadership is very much about helping people understand why what they do is important, whereas management is, in its most basic forms, getting the things done in a business that need to get done. So that's one, just distinguishing management from leadership. I think 2, as people who are responsible for the other people in a business, the pointy end of the business, I think it's important to not put so much pressure on yourself to be perfect as the leader or the manager, because I find that pressure creates outsized responses in you as a manager. And then I think the third thing is just I always live to a kind of like a 60 to 80% rule. Whatever I think is correct for myself as the leader in a business, I'm only ever going to expect 60 to 80% of that from the staff, because they shouldn't, and they can't care as much as I do. And I'm okay with that. So they'd be my 3 things. Distinguish leadership from management. Don't expect yourself to be perfect, and also understand that your staff are only going to, and appropriately, give 60 to 80% of what you'd be prepared to give.
Okay. Marcus?
Yeah, there's a lot that could be said about leading without losing yourself, challenge of managing people. Dozens, hundreds of things you could say. The one that just immediately comes to mind that I see a lot of is people running businesses that bite off more than they can chew. And that's a great way to lose yourself real quick. And one of the dangerous words that I've said and I've heard people say, we all think to ourselves, is I should be, or I should be doing this. And you create this expectational vision in your mind that you should be doing something, and it can lead to things like I said, biting off more than you can chew, or expanding too quickly, taking on too many staff that doesn't yet justify the stage that your business is at. And you end up putting yourself in a prison of your own making, and that's a very quick way to lose yourself, and it's a very easy way to completely mismanage people, because you now can't give them the love, the attention, the care and everything that they need to do the best job that they're going to be able to do for you, all other things being equal. And I think that sort of follows on from what Paul's just said there, with that pressure to be perfect that we put on ourselves as well, or we have unrealistic expectations of our staff. And I think following on from that 60 to 80% point that you made there, Paul, the other thing I've noticed, especially in law firms, is that business operators, partners of law firms, will unrealistically expect that employed solicitors should be able to perform 8 to 10 productive hours a day of actual work. And that is just physically impossible to expect mainstream from your staff. It just won't happen. But if you keep saying that and you keep demoralising your staff to the extent that you say to them, well, if you don't achieve this, then you're underperforming and you're no good to us. Well, what do you think the outcome's going to be? And unfortunately, from what I've seen in law firms in particular, is a level of dysfunction that is entirely preventable if people are being a bit more realistic.
Can I jump on to one other thing?
Yeah.
A lot of the frustrations I hear people expressing about staff, particularly as it relates to management, is this kind of like, why can't they just? Which is filtering everything through your own expectations of yourself. Why can't they just think for themselves? Why can't they just do this? Like, isn't it obvious? Isn't it common sense? All of these sorts of phrases that you throw around. And I think to not lose yourself, because when you're in that mode of why can't they, you're giving complete control to somebody else over your own emotions. Sit there and you get frustrated and you go around in a circle in your mind. Why are they so stupid? Why won't they just be less shit? And at the end of the day, like, it is your responsibility. You're running the damn joint. If you want people to do things the way, or, if you want people to do certain things in a certain way, in a certain timing, with a certain outcome, that's your job. So getting frustrated that people aren't doing it, you're just kind of pointing the guns back at yourself, and you're giving up control. It's not giving it to somebody else. You're just literally liberating control from your own orbit. And I find that, that's where people get very lost in this, why can't they? What's wrong with them? There's no good staff. Gen Xers are crap. Gen Y are crap. Millennials are crap. All of these sorts of words that you hear. And like, at the most reductive form, it's just like, sit down, think about what you want people to do, when you want them to do it, in what volume, at what quality level, what outcome are they supposed to achieve. Be clear with it and make some decisions around that. If they do it, great. Pat them on the back. If they don't, sit down and give them the benefit of that information. And if they continue to not do it, you've only really got one job to do at that point, and that's help that person out of your business.
I think when you're in the trenches, when you're every day in the business and you're dealing with cash flow issues and emails from customers or suppliers and all of the things, making sure you make payroll, all of the things you've got to do every week, what happens is that's where you lose yourself.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's where you lose sight of what you're talking about, Paul, where you do actually need to actively manage people in the business. And it's having a system or a structure there that reminds you that you need to do this. And for me, it's been having a consultant that reminds me, getting those things, and it's...
He sounds like a dickhead.
No comment.
Well, before the show.
You do get lost in all of the noise and all of the things that happen every day. Plus then you've got your personal life you're trying to run and all of the things that happen. So, it is really important to have someone who can then pull you back and remind you that, this is your job as well. Maybe you're overdoing it in this part of the business and you need to focus not so much on that and more on managing people or whatever it might be for you at that time.
I think it flips, right? As soon as you've got staff, it is your job.
Yeah.
Like the other stuff for the kind of the side hustle, that you convince yourself that you're the best in the business to do, so you should do that. That's a side hustle. But your job is managing as soon as you've got staff or suppliers or any other human that needs to do something for you. Your job is management. That is your job.
Yeah, and the hard thing is that you didn't start off that way.
No.
So you have to learn to be a manager. And that's where some of us fall down, is that we forget that we've got to continually keep learning in that space.
It's very convenient to say, I'm too busy right now. And then what you end up doing is putting your staff on autopilot. And when that happens, you then start feeding into the inherent insecurity and fear of abandonment that practically every human being on earth has. And if your staff member is on autopilot for too long, something bad's going to happen when you least expect it. Yeah. And obviously at the most inconvenient possible time by definition. And so if you're not putting that care and attention into every one of your staff members, you're heading for trouble. And I remember there was a managing director of a large law firm I used to work at who had something ridiculous like 200 or 300 staff in our particular office. And he somehow managed, amidst all the responsibility, to find the time every 2 or 3 months to do a full round and go into every single staff member's office, lawyer, receptionist, secretary, other admin support, whatever it was, and talk to them. And he always remembered some detail about your life that he picked up on the next time he spoke to you. And he wrote every single one of the Christmas cards himself, and he even I remember he drew a funky picture in mind of me playing a bass guitar.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, wow, but then that kind of stuff you remember. I still remember this 15 years down the track as an excellent example of leadership and management, as opposed to what most people in his position do, which is live in the ivory tower, and they don't use that position to make a profound impact that they otherwise could. And so, ignoring staff is a surefire recipe for disaster.
And to that, I think when a staff member makes a mistake, it's obvious in your own brain to say that's the dumbest thing that somebody could have done. To that staff member, it was the right thing. I think most staff members, if you just put the world in a normal distribution curve, most staff members sit under that kind of broad part of the bell curve of, like, I'm trying my very best. So what they've done at that time is what they reasonably believe to be the best thing. I don't think many people are lazy or, willful in their disregard. It's just different to what you expected. So I kind of just peel back and go, if I expected something different, yes, I'll get frustrated and I'll get annoyed at people. But it's zoom out, go, well, they didn't do it for stupid or bad or evil. They did it because that's what they did. And they were trying their best. I have to guide them on what I want. And that becomes, again, a simpler path to your question, how do you do it without losing yourself? I just always try and minimise that. I think it's an impoverished thought of why did they do that? Because I don't see any benefit in trying to unpack why they did it. I think it's simple. They did it because they were wrong. If it's different to what you expected, they did it because they were wrong, but they tried their very best. Give them the benefit. Just give them the benefit of what you want them to do. And if they repeatedly and belligerently ignore you, again, help them find another job somewhere else. Like, it's just very basic choices.
Yeah, and to that last bit, there are always ways and means. I think a lot of people are...
What, of helping them find another job?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's any one of a number of ways that you can sensibly manage that kind of process, and I think a lot of people get too fearful of a so to speak, unfair dismissal claim. But the law doesn't say you can't ever dismiss somebody.
That's right.
There's a time and place where you both have to accept that you're not in alignment and it's time to move along.
It's me, it's not you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Were you asking if anyone's got tools to manage that process? Is that what you were saying?
No, I'm saying that to finish off what Paul said there, that if once you've gone through all that process, you've legitimately tried everything you can do, I totally agree that there comes a time and place to just help them on to the next step in their careers.
Well, because it's not a legal decision at that point, it's a conscience decision. Have I reasonably given that person all the information, all the tools, all the training? If I've reasonably done that and it's still not working, well, the likelihood is it'll never work. So it's probably better for that person that they're in a different place with different expectations. You're helping them out. But if you haven't first looked at your own behaviours and gone, have I done all the things I need to do? Well, it's on you. Fix it. It's not that person. So I do think at that point you have to look at yourself, and it's a fine line. That kind of that tipping point, it's a fine line. And again, you're going to make a mistake. Some days you'll pull the trigger too early. Sometimes you'll wait too long. Like,
you're mathematically certain to get X percentage of piss takers in your staff. That's just a fact of life. And if you don't deal with them in a strong manner that the situation calls for, let's say you're being perfectly reasonable here, you have to think about what your other staff members who are productive are going to think, and what kind of tone that sets for your organisation, so that everything reaches a point where you have to take decisive action. And I think a lot of people are too scared to do the hard thing in that regard. Yeah. But a very important part of the process of managing staff, they want to see you acting and behaving like the leader that they want to follow and look up to. Otherwise, why would you take any examples from someone not demonstrating sound leadership like that?
But that's a really important point. It's if you haven't moved somebody on from a job that they're clearly not equipped to do, or they're just piss takers, if you haven't done that, the rest of the staff are going to be looking at you going, what sort of organisation is this? Equally, if you disrespectfully or rudely or unfairly, put the sword to someone, metaphorically speaking, the other staff members are going to look at that and go, what the hell? This human is psychopathic. I always think about the other staff, not the staff member, but I think about the other staff as much as I think about the person, because all I think about with the person is, have I reasonably done everything I could? Like, I'm at the end of my road with this person. As soon as I'm at the end of the road with them, like that's it. You know the decision you got to make. So then you have to prosecute that in a way that the other staff are going to look at and go, that was the correct thing to do, and it was done in the correct way.
I just find it's disappointing as you go through such a rigorous recruitment process and you screen the person and see them X amount of times, and then they've got a full description of what's required of them, and the salary's, at a certain rate, whatever the case may be. It just feels like there's so much. I mean, being a business owner has a lot of responsibility, but is there ever a time where they take responsibility? Or is it just always our actions? So you were taken on to do this job, but now you're doing 5 other things. Like, is it always up to us? And what I'm asking is, are they ever accountable for their actions?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it comes back to us as the manager making them accountable.
Yeah.
And that's hard as a manager you've got to be continually managing, and that takes your focus away from other things, and you feel, well, this isn't fair. Why do I have to do this? Yeah. Well, you have to do it because you're the manager, you're the owner of the business, whatever you might be. But yeah, I hear some frustration there, Tracy, and I feel that too, because in everything we do, it feels like running a business, everything's against you.
Yeah, it does.
I look at things, I look at how much we paid in payroll tax last month. That just for nothing, for employing 30 people. I paid the state government a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
There's so many things every day when you go to work where you think, God, why do I have to fight this? I'm fighting, the government in terms of the policies that they've put together, my staff, not literally fighting, but I feel the frustration that you've got, because you do start to question, why am I doing this? And why are we doing it? We're doing it because we can see that we're building something that we, for me, it's about proving to myself that I can do it. That's one part of it. But it's also about having a business that supports 20 or 30 families. But when every day you go to work and you feel like you're up against it, you do start to question it. And I think we've gone slightly off the topic here, but I think that's a really big part of running a small business, and people choosing to stay in business or not. And I think it's really something that we need to, as small businesses, we need to push that to government and the people that are making decisions, so that we can... we employ so many people in Australia. It's like over 70%.
83.
Of 83, there you go. It doesn't feel right.
Yeah. 100%.
I have an answer as to why we're doing it. Like if you talk about managing staff, the piss takers, the average, the good and the brilliant, I know why we're doing it, because we have to. There is no other way to build a business. You can't build a business on your own, so you have to. So when I get in that mode of like why, which is again, I always feel like unpacking things from this, why is this like this? I don't feel it advances me towards my goals. So I just ask myself the basic question, am I howling at the tide? If I'm howling at the tide, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to dedicate that energy to something else, and I always just try and reduce it to the one thing. What's the one thing I've got to get done today? And you're talking about losing yourself. Does that solve the world's problems? No. It calms my anxiety. It tends to slow my thinking down, not stopping, slow my thinking down about the inherent inequity in being a small business owner. Like, that's the game we chose to play. I think we were all in some way, shape, aware of the fact that it's inequitable. I kind of think to myself, well, fuck it, who cares? That's what it is. That's the playing field. I'm going to go and play on that playing field, and the only way I know how is reduce it to the smallest possible surface area and work on that for that day, because I've always got another day. I can't get caught up in the why thing, because I get so angry about things that I end up doing very, very unproductive stuff. So I don't want that pool to be disclosed.
I think that does come back, though, to not losing yourself, because I think that links into being true to yourself. And a lot of people take on the responsibility of starting a business because of whatever their reasons are, but then they end up creating and running something that is inconsistent with who they are as a human being. So, for example, I can only relate this back to myself. It would be incompatible with who I am as a human being to run a business with 100 plus staff. That's just going to fry me out and be completely incompatible with how I like to run. I prefer to not bite off more than I can chew, be smaller, organic, so that I can give the business all of its challenges, and especially the staff and myself, the love, care and attention that they all need. And so I don't end up finding myself being the old man yelling at the cloud, so to speak, or yelling at the tide, because it's consistent with how I like to be as a human being. But I could give myself a real bad time real quick if I suddenly said, right, I want to expand to 20, 30 staff and, start to have a huge industry presence. That would be horrible for me. But then there are other people that would say, geez, if I only had 5 staff, I'd feel like a failure, and I need something bigger and brighter and bolder, and I respect that.
That's true to them.
Absolutely. So I think understanding that your style, your personality, the way you like to run your life, if you're consistent with that, you won't put yourself in a prison of your own making.
Or you will, and you'll very quickly learn and roll.
Yeah, and you'll make the necessary changes, yeah.
Hang on. Or you'll accept that that is a part of the parameter set of what you're chasing. I know a couple of people in this room who start running and go do marathons. Mildly ambitious people start riding horses.
I couldn't think of a
Start
better
riding
way to
horses
run.
and
Have a bad time, yeah.
want to be competitive horse riders. And like trying to say to those people, and I ran a little experiment, I think it was last Friday. I said to one of these people, I won't say who it was, fine, that's good, let's pack it in.
You can say.
I said to Tracy last Friday, let's pack it
I
in.
had a meltdown.
It's all good. There's no stress, there's no failure in that, there's nothing. Just pack it in, let's wind it all back. And I think it was the following week, Tracy said, that really jarred. It's like, well, it only jars because it's fucking true. You're not going to do that. There's not a hope in hell I could say to Tracy, shut your business down or wind it back. And for her to say, that's a logical thing to do.
Oh, I got angry when you said it. I was like, fuck that idea. Why would you say that to me?
But I think what those people who have those ambitions of being X, whatever X is, it's almost like that's the shit sandwich you've got to eat. So in my head, it's like, even if managing 20 or 30 or 50 people is not who you are, if you're ambitious, that comes with the territory, learn to be a great manager, which is a learnable skill. It's not an innate skill. You didn't just wake up as a manager. I think you might have had a propensity toward it. I think these two people have a propensity towards management because everything they fucking do, they boss everyone around.
We guide.
So that would...
They merely suggest a recommended course of action there, Paul. But and the thing is, even though it might not be, say, what I would want to do right now, I reserve the right to change my mind as I grow in life. That can happen too.
Isn't that Mayor Quimby? I reserve the right to flip-flop.
Yeah. But I don't think it's likely. But sometimes we all change and evolve, and you have to be true to that as well. But in the here and now, you can definitely do things that are wildly inconsistent with how you would like your life to be, that can give you a horrible time, create needless stress. And I guess getting back to the very first point I made, where you bite off more than you can chew in terms of expanding too quickly sometimes. I've seen a lot of lawyers do that as well, where they end up having 20 or 30 staff instead of the 5 staff, and end up making the same or less money than they otherwise would have. Or even worse, less money than they would have if they were just an employed solicitor without all the extra business responsibility. And that's a horrible place to be. I feel awful for every single one of them that are in that position, because they are trying their asses off. They do give a damn. And when it doesn't pan out the way that I think they deserve, so to speak, although one could say you don't deserve it if you don't make the right choices, I get that. Yeah, it's no good to see. I don't wish that on anyone in any form of business when it ends up like that. And then you've got a tough choice where you say, do I keep going and staying this path and hopefully break through, Or do I take the risk that another 5 years could go by and I'm still not making any more money or getting any more satisfaction than I would have if I was just employed in my last job? That's something a lot of people don't take the time to respect for anyone that starts a business. That's something that's constantly running in your mind, especially at the beginning when you're at that startup phase in the first 5, sometimes 10 years.
To Sophie's point, I think that's where having someone who is internally external or externally internal is a really powerful thing, because in that context, even if someone's super ambitious and that's their natural state, like an external party can look at it and go, your ambition's damaging you. It's not serving you, it's damaging you. And I'm in structural damage. And 5 years of coaching, I can think of 6 instances where I've had to say, the business is dead, even though you don't possibly recognise it. This thing is dead. It's not healthy for you. I'm not pointing at you, by the way. It's not healthy for you.
That's the news I've been waiting for.
I know, it's like, oh.
We need to get the plane out of the sky and get the passengers off safely and accept that the plane's never going to fly again. Like, that's not an easy conversation to have, but I have to be the one that, in my role, I sit back and I look at it and I look very carefully, and I'm always making that decision. Is this going to destroy this human, or are they going to sustain a few scars? And scar tissue's good, destruction's bad. I'm always the one that's kind of looking at it going, okay, I think we need to perhaps chart a different course. And with that different course, we have to make sure that, sure, it's fine to just smack the plane into a mountain, but like if the passengers don't get off, that's a stupid thing to do as well. So like navigating that, and there's a lot of emotions that come with that. The acceptance of failure is not an easy thing to do.
So I went to a presentation this morning, and they had a saying on the screen. So it says, how do you hold the dove? And it's got a little dove in someone's hands. It says, management is like holding a dove. Hold it too tightly and you kill it. Hold it too loosely and it flies away. So...
Law firms have answered this question. They put them in a cage
And feed them rat poison.
and say, lay eggs.
Like, do you shake the
Bill,
dove
you
around?
bastard. Bill, what's wrong with you, dove?
And then once you've laid 3 eggs, they let you out of the cage into a little frolicking area for a little bit, but then you're tethered, and then you go back in the cage and...
Yeah, but if you don't lay more eggs in the frolicking area, they snap your neck.
They throw you at the door. Stupid pigeon's dead.
I'm glad we
Dove,
answered
sorry.
that question for you,
Dove.
Tracy.
So I was like, do you shake the dove around, or like, what is good management? Like, if you've got someone that you're trying to guide, like, where's the line between killing that dove? It actually it kind of made sense. Where's the line? Because is there someone out there who's got management all sorted down pat?
If I understand the speaker at the thing, they've never run a business. So my advice would be shut the fuck up. Simple.
Yeah, but what is great management?
Well, but it's not a dove.
It's not, yeah, I was about to say,
It's not a dove. It's got
Yeah.
nothing to do. I know it's a metaphor, but it's not that.
Okay, but what is it then?
Well, you know my view on what it is.
Please share. Our listeners don't.
Be clear in what you want somebody to do. Be clear in when you want it done. Be clear as to what the level of quality is. Be clear as to what the outcome that task should be. And be clear as to what they should do when they bump into the inevitable problem. Otherwise, they'll throw it on your desk like a cat vomiting the dove.
How about I'll apply a Roman Caesar methodology to the dove. Feed the dove, entertain the dove, and the dove shall be yours.
But what is clear? Because you're very clear with that dove, and then that...
Can we drop the dove? I'm just getting lost.
No, we're just getting started with this dove. Yeah.
the dove still flies into the window. Like, what is clear?
No,
Because
it's fed, it's entertained.
window's
It
clear.
has no desire to do this.
No, but you've said to the dove, like, I want you to go eat these breadcrumbs, go do this, like, do this, do that, and then they don't do that. So what is clear then? Is it my understanding of clear, or is it their understanding of clear? Like, that's where I get confused.
Okay, just getting into the kind of the mechanics of it. When I allocate a task, or I think the word is delegate in the modern world of don't trigger people, suggest gently that they maybe might like to consider thinking about contemplating doing something for their salary. If that's okay, I'll put you in a dark room.
Take your shoes off.
I ask someone to tell me their understanding of the task to know that they are clear and I'm clear. So I ask, okay, just help me be
Every
confident.
time, though? Isn't that like condescending?
I don't care. Like, what? Condescending is your subjective assessment of it.
Yeah.
And it's somebody else's subjective assessment of it. It's your motivation. If your motivation is to condescend, yes, it is. If your motivation is to be clear, that is your motivation. And you'll find that after a period of time, by going through that process, you'll either have confidence that they understand it or not. So you can modulate the amount of times you do that. But I guess when you delegate the task, you ask them to repeat it to you until you're confident that you can delegate a task. So I have a new staff member. What's today?
Thursday, I think.
Third day in. I'm fairly confident I can allocate a task to him and he does it as per my definition. And if he's not clear, he asks me. And if he's not wanting to do it, he'll challenge me.
Okay.
So now I just say, can you get this done? But I'm not even doing it task by task now. I'm saying, here's a set of things we need to do today. Can I get on and get it done? And I'm comfortable that he's doing it. I had a previous staff member who I had to liberate to the market. I made him available to other opportunities. If I gave him a task to do, I thought I was speaking Martian because his eyes would glaze over and I'm okay, so what do we need to get done? And he would regurgitate back to me something radically different.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't take long for me to work out that I couldn't delegate a task to him because the very first thing is he wasn't certain about what I needed doing. So it's just horses for courses. There is no kind of like universal approach to every person. It's a universal approach that you apply to each person, if the distinction makes sense.
It does. So like an example, I've been trying to get my team to focus at the start of the day. So my key staff, so all I said is, please send me your priority. And I got essays. So I went back again, please send me your priority. And I got a half essay. So like in my mind, please send me your priority is quite clear. But how else can I communicate that so I don't get an essay?
Try 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times to your level.
So you just repeat it?
No. Try different instances of clarifying it. But I would pick up the phone and say, okay, I've asked for your priorities.
It was priority. Just one thing.
I've asked for your priority and you've given me quite a detailed, I wouldn't say the word screed, but you've given me a screed of
Just
shit.
sent me your journal.
Yeah, you've sent me this blah, however you describe it. What I'm looking for is the single most important thing that you're going to achieve today. So in future, what is your priority with that context? And in future, when I ask for it, I'm going to ask that you read the question carefully and respond on that basis. I think maybe the person's done it because they're feeling a little under threat. I don't know. I just don't know the scenario well enough. But if even in the context of that explanation and maybe another couple of cracks at it, where it's what's your one thing, if they can't get that, like there's a little black mark in the journal that says this person's on a different journey than what I had anticipated.
Yeah.
That's how, but I always go back to what can I do before I go with why don't they? Because I don't know why they don't.
Well, if you ask an open-ended question, you can't be surprised if you get a bit more of an open-ended response. This is like negotiating with a dove. It'll fly off and start shitting everywhere.
Yes, the doves shit a lot.
So one doesn't negotiate intensely with the dove. One communicates, perhaps talks, whispers sweet nothings to it. But one tethers the dove within the range of food. And if the dove goes and gets the food, that's great. And if they don't, well, they'll figure it out. But ultimately, the dove needs to be invested in the outcome. You can't just tell people, do this, do that, and get the response of, yeah, you're right, all right, I'll do that. The moment you get to that point, you're being bullshitted around and you're going to get some crap come out the other end. But if you set up that framework, so to speak, the tethering, or you ask the more direct question, what's the one most important thing you want to get done today? If that doesn't elicit a direct response, then you could have yourself a bit of a sub-gump IQ person on your hands there that you've got to have some concerns about. If they can't
Pigeon.
find one thing, we don't want pigeons.
A seagull.
Well, at least you can get homing pigeons, so they can be trained.
You can't get a homing seagull.
It was a dove.
No one's ever trained those. But yeah, ultimately, any person in life has to be invested in the outcome they're looking to achieve. And the alternative is they just force feed you some bullshit that they think you want to hear to get you off their back. And again, that's another symptom of you not having given the love, care and attention to that staff member that they need to succeed.
I still think it boils down to those 5 things. What's getting done? When's it getting done? What's the quality you want it done at? What's the outcome you want achieved? And what are you going to do when the inevitable problem happens? And it doesn't have to be explicit per task. I'm not suggesting that, but if people understand those things about what they need to do on the daily, normal distribution curve, the bulk of people are going to respond to that pretty well. If they don't understand that, or you're not certain they understand it, you're going to get some perverse outcomes.
And I think asking someone for one priority is a bit remedial, and sometimes you'll get to that point with someone if they're really unproductive. But any person should be able to say, right, these are the 3 key things I want to accomplish
Here's
today.
what I'm working on.
This is the order I'm going to get it done in based on priorities that I've established and the thinking I've applied to this. And if you're not doing that, you're not even trying to put in a day's work.
Yeah.
And so I think any staff member should be able to communicate that fairly comfortably if you ask that direct question. Open-ended question though, good luck. Especially if they've punched it into ChatGPT, and said, look, give me a 500-word response to this. You'll get a 500-word response, and they won't give you the TLDR version that we're all looking for.
Yeah. Anything else in management, guys? Paul, I know this is your favourite topic. One of them.
No, honestly, I've made every single, and I'm actually not going to talk about the mistakes I've made.
Why not?
Because I think that would be probably grounds for legal actions or something.
Is there one you can share that can help our listeners learn?
I'll say the one that I'm thinking of. I'd asked a staff member to write a tender response. Thinking reasonably, I thought, that my brief was pretty much get this done. That was me allocating the task, get this done. The tender had a due date, everyone knew that, so that gives you the due date. But realistically, I wanted it 2 weeks before so I could review it and actually get it. I didn't articulate that. I didn't talk about quality. I didn't talk about the outcome. I didn't talk about anything. 3 days before, I was pretty stressed about it because it was a decent tender. 3 days before the tender was due, he presented it to me and it was unusable. Now, I look at that now with the benefit of time, and that is all on me. He actually tried his best. I know he worked late, but it was just crap. It was literally just crap. My very authentic feedback was, next time you darken my door with your fucking infantile scribblings, stop and think. That was my feedback.
Yeah, wow.
I don't think that person walked away from that feeling any better about the work they'd done. I'm pretty certain they weren't going to do another tender again for me in their life. And at that time, I just thought, okay, well, that's just the fog of war. That's what they have to deal with. Like, shit's got to get done. Do it. Do it at my level. And, you stop and think, like, when I used to write tenders, I would not hesitate to work 24 hours a day. I'm obviously exaggerating there, but like whatever it took to get that tender done, it was going to get done.
Yeah.
And it was going to get done word perfect, comma perfect, full stop perfect, mathematically perfect, and it was dialed in to win. I'd never trained anyone on that. It was the stuff I'd learned. But my feedback to this person after the wonderful delegation of get that done, would you, was don't darken my door with your infantile scribblings. Like, you look back on that, that's just horrible.
It's about giving constructive feedback, right? So being able to...
But also delegating the task in a fashion that sets the person up for success.
Or training them to do it in the first place.
All of those things. I have made so many mistakes.
Yeah.
So many mistakes. I've been managing since I was 17. So I've just been fortunate enough to go through the dip of really poor management. Like, you know, my index is towards intimidating aggression. That's what my index is towards. That's just how I've got things done in my life. So it's very, very habituated. And I've realised that's very counterproductive. I've been through the dip of getting frustrated at people. Why are people so shit? You know, in that kind of why are people so shit, my feedback was always kind of like, be less shit, would you? It's hardly helping anyone do anything. And I've realised my job is to help people get their job done. That's what a manager does. And I think it starts with that clarity. Once you've got the clarity, you've got a really good platform.
Yeah, I think I sort of lost the point, but if you're going to delegate a task to someone, you have to be certain that they're capable of performing it. I could sit there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the next 10 years without training. And if someone said, build me a nuclear bomb, Marcus, not going to happen. I can sit there, I can read the internet, I can look up what uranium is and how one enriches it, and I won't get there. I can spend the rest of my life, I won't get there. And yet that's precisely what we do with our staff sometimes, and we say, well, go get that done. And they can commit all the time in the world, but if they haven't got the knowledge and the logic trained to get that task to completion in a sensible, cogent fashion, they're going to fail. They're going to give it their best. They're going to use every single bit of time that's available to them because they want the product to be as good as they can possibly do it. And then it's going to show up on your desk 10 minutes before it's due. And you're going to say, what the fuck is this shit? And I did that to my bosses when I first started as well. I still remember one of my first bosses. He was a very colourful character, shall we say, when he didn't like things, and he didn't like things very often. And the whole office would hear about it. And I remember I once put a set of appeal papers in basically the morning of the day that it was due. He came back to me and says, if you ever fucking do that to me again, I'm going to fucking kick your ass.
Yeah, right.
And very luckily, because I was still junior and developing, the product was halfway good enough that he was able to cobble together the amendments needed and we got it filed in time. But just imagine if that had been day one and I didn't know anything whatsoever, and he would have had to do that all from scratch. That's a catastrophe, an absolute catastrophe. And so I think setting time limit expectations on staff, and I think the one thing lawyers have done really well in my experience is they realise that these tasks are too overwhelming. You can't say, hey, just do that. They say, right, go do step one here and then come back to me and we'll look at step one together. It might be writing the background of a long letter.
Yeah.
And then you come back and then you work it through. And then step by step you build that logic train in the person's mind to complete the task. Because you know all the bits, but that doesn't mean they do.
Yeah,
and
precisely.
then I think the one thing you need is patience and repetition. Those are the two key variables there if you want anyone to achieve anything. And you sometimes have to remember back to when you were in that position, when you completely stunk the room out with your ability, and go, yep, someone had to be very patient with me, so I'm gonna pay that bit forward.
I think the mistake we make as business owners, we're all autodidactic, right? Like we're all self-taught. We're all self-taught and we're all motivated enough to be self-taught and we just go and learn it. And then we expect everyone to be like that. And that's when you get the common frustration of it's fucking common sense. It's not common sense. It's what you did. It's highly uncommon. So don't expect anybody else to like learn about this or be as passionate about this as you are, because they ain't going to be. It's not common sense. It's very, very uncommon.
So I'd love to just give our listeners maybe a core framework or something they can do would be to kind of just step back in that frustration and ask yourself, have I been clear in what's needed? I haven't memorized this, Paul, sorry. Is it clear in what's needed? Have I defined the quality?
Well, what's needed? When's it due? What's the quality level? What's the outcome required? What do you do when you hit a problem?
So every morning one should do that?
I don't know about every morning. I think just like if you just have that framework in mind when you're delegating a task or a set of tasks or an ongoing group of tasks, like just make sure you've done those things as just hygiene. If you haven't got those done, it's on you. In all honesty, it's absolutely on you. If you expect someone to do something that you can do, I just think you're setting yourself up for failure. You just stepped in a massive landmine.
Yeah, done that a few times.
And you know what? You'll fail as a manager. You'll fuck up more than you won't.
It feels so nice, not.
But it's the job. Like, if you got to get good at it. Because if you're not good at managing and you have people, why do you have people?
Can you get someone to manage those people?
Sure, you can. Yeah. Yeah, you know how you do that?
So I can go to Croatia?
No, you give your business to somebody else, because that's the person who'll take your business in the end anyway. The one that can manage their staff better than you will just win all your business. So you can outsource it. You're just outsourcing it to your competitors, and you're gifting.
Wouldn't it be someone in-house though?
No.
Why not?
How can you?
You get a manager who manages the team. Because most business owners, we want to step away eventually. Does that mean we never have that opportunity because we have to manage everyone?
It's the human instinct to put life's challenges on autopilot, and it doesn't work.
No is the answer. You can't outsource leadership.
Okay.
You can't outsource leadership. You can't outsource management. And if you're going to bring a manager in to manage people, yes, of course you can eventually. It's called a general manager. But you have to manage the manager.
And they tend to want to get paid, those people.
Yeah, yeah.
I've heard.
And if they're really, really good, they'll start their own business and steal yours. So I don't know. I just wouldn't run that risk. I'd just get good at management. It's
that beautiful self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it?
What's that?
Well, if they get that good, they'd be starting their own business.
Yeah.
And if they're not that good, they're managing yours in
So best you learn how to manage the manager. And you know how you do that? Get really clear about what you want.
Alrighty, guys, I'm going to move on to topic 2. So gender and business. Does the label help or hinder? When it comes to gender in business, do labels like women in business or female founder help elevate or quietly box people in?
Sounds like I should go first here.
No, yeah, go for it.
Look, I'm proud to be a woman in business, but it certainly doesn't define me.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to define me. I just want to be a business owner. The fact that I'm a woman shouldn't really come into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's hard as a woman. Sometimes you're either too hard or too soft. It's hard to find that middle ground. Maybe women question ourselves more and our decisions and ruminate on things. Maybe we don't. I don't know. I've only got my head to live in. But that it does feel like that. It feels like we think about things more. We do think about how we come across. I think to Paul's point, I'm quite intimidating as well. I've got that kind of persona about me, but it's a constant battle to be between that and like I'm fighting that in my own mind as to being decisive, making decisions, getting things done, but being, it's that liked versus respected. I think it's more important to be respected than liked. And if people can respect you and know that you're making decisions for the good of the business, the long term of the business, then that's important. Whether that's a gender thing or not, I'm not sure. But I whilst I quite enjoy, a ladies' lunch or a women's breakfast, those things, that's not why I'm in business. I'm in business to be a business person.
Yeah, thanks, Soph. Paul?
I don't know.
Speak freely your views.
No, I don't know. As in, I think it's spoken about too much.
Well, that's why I wanted to have this conversation with two men.
Stop talking about it. No. Look,
wow.
You know what?
Todd.
I find the Yas Queens as repugnant as I find the Testo Bros.
Why?
Because it's just like, shut up about it. We're just in business. But we don't need to talk about it. Do women think about things differently to men? Yep, of course. Do men question themselves a lot? Yes. It's just that blokes tend to go to the pub and get drunk and fight each other or something like that. It comes out in a different way. I know just as many imposters in business that are male or female, because when you sit in a room, when I'm working with somebody and you sit in a room and talk to them, as soon as all of that kind of bravado is peeled back, everyone's asking the same thing of themselves, which is, why am I so shit? Everybody's asking the same thing. Like, I get pissed off at the Yas Queen thing more than I get pissed off at the Testo Bro thing. Because the Testo Bro thing, it's easy. You can just say, look, shut up. Enough. This is just stupid. Stop it. Nobody's interested in that crap.
Yeah.
But the Yas Queen thing...
What is the Yas Queen?
Yas Queen, you go. You can do it, girl.
Go, girl.
that stuff.
Oh, that
just
sort of
like,
shit. Okay.
Yes, Queen.
to me, it's
Fuck me dead.
pathologically, horrifically patronising. It's women patronising women. That's the bit that I don't get. It's like, stop talking about, as a woman in business you should. It's, as a person in business you should. Do women have particular parameters that constrain their ability to succeed? Yes, as do men. Like, everyone has their own set of challenges. I just think, like, fuck, if you want to be in business, have a red hot at it. Stop gathering amongst your kind, particularly that Yas Queen set, where you sit and talk about how unfair things are. Yep, things are unfair. Like, walking into business is literally like walking into a brick in the face every fucking day. It doesn't matter if you're a woman or not. Stop thinking about the extra challenges. Get on with it. And I think you'll find that those challenges of being a woman in business. Sophie, I remember being in your office. It fucking annoyed the shit out of me. We were standing in your reception and that bloke walked in. He was like a travelling salesman and he addressed me. I just felt like turning to him and saying, "You fucking old dickhead, what's wrong with you?" Instead, I said, "You're pitching at the wrong guy. Talk to the boss."
I think I'm just so used to that I don't even notice it. It's almost I take that as a reflection on him, not on me.
Of course,
So
but it pisses me off because then people say, "Oh, men are sexist." Like that's
no,
kind
he
of,
was.
Yes, but
He
it
was.
does somehow, in some way, make me conscious because I think all men therefore are sexist in business. But then, like, it's like, okay, a thing happened. It was done by an idiot. Let's press on and do business. I've never thought of you as a woman.
Maybe that's the kind of women that end up in these CEO, managing director, business owner roles are the ones that happens to them and they almost don't see it or they laugh
and
it
I
off.
think that's perfect.
You know,
If you're secure in yourself, you won't give two shits about that kind of behaviour. Just right off your back.
But that's why I think the Yas Queen thing, I get the intent of it, but I think the outcome of it is actually quite deleterious to women in business because they walk out of these things saying, "Oh, there's another layer of difficulty because I'm a woman in business." It's like, no, it's all shit.
I think
it's
people
hard.
bring that to the table beforehand and then...
What, the
and
Yas Queens or the...
Well, if you're looking for it, you're going to find it.
Yeah, good point.
True.
And, you know, years ago I went... I was looking for networking and a bit of business advice and I went to one of these mumpreneur events. And halfway through I thought, this is not me.
What's a mumpreneur?
Well, it's, you know, someone who's a mum and wants to start a business and aspires to run a kind of side hustle and maybe build it to something. But it felt so condescending. And,
Condescending, that's the word I was
and
looking for.
I
I've
just...
written down here,
I couldn't go back. And I actually got a scholarship to do this thing ongoing for a year. And I rang them afterwards and I said, "Thank you, but let's give this to somebody else who really is going to benefit from it. This is not for me." So again, it's about what you want. If you're looking for it, that's what you're going to find. Some women, those communities for them are amazing and they can get a lot out of it. I didn't see that. I don't need pink pretty ribbons around the place. I just want women at the table because they want to be there, because they are capable.
Bingo.
And they are seen as equals. And that to me is, like even political parties, I scratch my head when I think about these quotas because why can't the best people for the job just be in that? And fuck me, half the time the women are the better people. So, you know, like just put the best person in there.
Statistics would say that. There's 50% women, there's 50%... Like, of course...
The difficulty comes when you have a child and... You know, like, you've got to let stuff go if you want to run these businesses. And I never met any of the mums at the school drop-off. I never got to do coffee dates with them. And that reflected on my child. He didn't get to do those coffee dates, right? So you've got to carry that mum guilt, another thing I don't...
Your child drinks coffee?
Damn, he's wired.
Well, no, he doesn't, because I never went
dates
to
as a
those
child.
coffee
I
dates.
never went on coffee dates.
Maybe that's why I've got the problem.
You know, even this mum guilt thing, I don't like the idea of that kind of wording either, because it's just guilt, right? I think that I made some choices. Okay, I didn't do those things, but what am I showing my son? I'm showing him that you get up every day and you go to work, and, you know, it was his birthday yesterday, he got a nice gift, but then, you know, he didn't get everything he wanted, and I said to him, the reason you're not getting to do this and that is because I have to go to work, but that's why you get these other things.
And so, Harry, welcome to the world.
Yeah.
But, like, as a father, particularly my 2 elder children, I didn't see them growing up. I was working 80, 90, 100 hours a week. I didn't get to see them growing up. I know I missed Ali's first steps. You know, there were consequences of my choices, but I felt that enabled other positive factors in their life. But, Marcus, you know my daughter. Tracy, you've met my daughter. Yeah. She continually winds me up about being an absent father, but she also forgets that she's been to Sweden 15 or 18 times in her life and seen a lot of the world. Like, I know she's only winding me up, I hope.
They begin to get it as they get older. As when they're younger and they're not mature, those kinds of feelings can be fairly strong against what you've done as a father. I've realised, having spoken to many...
My point, moreover...
Many children over the years in that regard, but it just takes time for them to get to that point to understand.
Can you talk to my daughter about that?
It's a week-by-week process.
She listens to you more than me. That's right. You can be the dad. No, but, like, there's no such word as dad guilt.
No.
Right? Because it's like somehow it's expected or something. Also, men tend to be, I think, so much more mechanical in their views of the world. Like, must wake up, must have shower, must have coffee, must go to work, must do this. There's not this, if I do this, then that, then... Like, I do think that is uniquely female, and I'm not being misogynistic, it's an observation.
Yeah.
And that tends to, like, inculcate a lot of guilt, which creates a lot of conversation, which I think amplifies that guilt, versus guys sit at the pub and go, do you watch the footy? No, I hate the footy. Right. What do you want to talk about? Nothing? Okay. Men are so much more kind of like...
It's very utilitarian, the male way of thinking.
I think so.
Regard.
Yeah.
Going back to what I was saying in terms of being a mother, I think, you know, you do make choices, but it also comes down to the partnership that you've got, because if you're going to try and have 2 people running a business, you know, a husband and a wife team, or like... The relationship and the dynamics of that relationship and how you run things has to work for your family group. So it isn't for everyone that they can do that. Also, you know, I don't work in the public sector. So, you know, being in a family business, maybe in some ways there's some more flexibility, but in other ways there's way less flexibility in terms of what you can do. You know, it's maternity leave and all of these types of things. So I think that maybe in that public sector some of this stuff is a lot more relevant than in my situation where we own the business and we can make the decisions. But it still comes back to put the best people at the table and do what you can do in your life to run a business. And there's plenty of businesses that people can, and especially now with being able to run things online and e-commerce businesses and all sorts of things that you can do from home and part-time, 3/4 time, where you can still do the parental things or, the flexibility that you can have with you and your partner. I just don't think that you should go into things thinking, well, the man's job is to earn the money and the woman's job is to stay home and have the children. If that's what you want, do that.
Or if you're the best at earning the money.
It's not just about the best, it's also if that's what you want to do.
Yes,
if that's what
if that's how you choose to configure. But I actually think that the biggest issue in all of this is this fucking myth about, and I don't know where it's come from, that it's not just that you can, it's that you should have it all. You should be the high-flying, swashbuckling entrepreneur. You should be the perfect mum. You should be at all the coffee drop-offs. All this kind of like pressure. I think it's a little easier than that emotionally, which is choices and consequences. I choose to do this. These are the consequences. have a conversation with the family unit and say, these are the consequences I think will transpire as a result of this choice. Are we prepared to live with it, or can we configure this differently? If you want to work 3/4 time in your business, perfect, do it. But the consequences of that are probably that your business won't be as big as you expect it to be, or it won't make as much money, and that's fine. But like, we don't seem to, in society, allow women any consequence of a choice, because there's this constant pressure and podcasts and magazine covers or whatever about, like, here's fucking, what's her name? Isla Kitsingantasamakantapisnoknanas?
No idea.
The lady from the fitness app thing.
Oh,
That made $1 billion and, like, she, worked only 15 minutes a day and had a
I can't think of
perfect
her
life,
name.
then got divorced. Or the, what's the one that made the fitness apparel that Michael Clark was with for a bit?
Lorna Jane? No.
Huh?
Lorna Jane?
Similar. The lady that Michael Clark was dating. Like,
No idea.
Held up as the perfect, because she had the perfect business, she had the perfect marriage, she had the perfect kids, then she had the perfect divorce, then she had the perfect business. Like, but you don't see the perfect divorce and anything like that ever published. It's just this kind of persistent thing about perfection on every single vector of life. I don't know how that can happen. I think there is a lot of pressure that talks to that.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's real. I think it's very toxic.
I'm leaning towards becoming one of those trad wives,
The scrunchy trad wife. Why are they scrunchy?
For our listeners, do you want to explain what that is?
What's a big thing on
I've seen.
Instagram and things now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just
That's
a
scary.
traditional woman.
The
Stay
trad
at home.
Trad wife's scary.
That's what you choose. Go for it.
And I think that's the thing I see so often though. People feel that they're entitled or qualified to poo-poo other people's life decisions. You want to be a trad wife, go be a trad wife. If it's true to yourself and that allows you to live a fulfilling life.
Well, I think if you
without
get over a
suffering
certain
and
amount of
misery.
subscribers, you can make a lot of money out of
Apparently.
it too, I think there's a bit of that.
You want to run a business,
Yeah.
run a business. You want the comfort of being employed, go and do that. No one's got any right to shit on someone else's decision in life.
Like the dove.
Well, the dove's a bit more of a captive audience there, and it may not have control over its bowel movements, but you'd like to think that your workers and staff and other people in your life do. But yeah, go be a trad wife. Nothing wrong with that. There was a time when that's how society was structured. That's how tasks were allocated, and I wouldn't call it the dark ages. People had happy, fulfilling lives.
Yeah.
Things got done. Great things were achieved, and we do things differently now. And hopefully, in time, we'll achieve even greater and better things, and that's great. But people should have the freedom to choose however the hell they want to structure their lives. And if there are less people on the sidelines creating unrealistic expectations of perfection and all of these other things about how you're supposed to live your life, it'd be a lot better. It'd be a lot better if we were all a bit more secure in what we were doing with our lives and didn't have to shit on other people's lives to make ourselves feel better.
I think as well, you don't have to be an inspiration. You don't have
No.
to be exceptional to be a woman in business.
Yeah.
That you don't have to be on the social media platforms
It's
and,
not your job.
and throw all this stuff out here, but it's almost like you feel like you need to do that because to justify the fact that you're a woman in business, which is just
If you're
ridiculous.
secure, you don't have to justify jack shit.
Yep.
And any time I hear this as a woman garbage or as a pick your intersectional member of society that you want to label yourself as some sort of shitty power move, I just shake my head. Nobody cares if I were to say something as equally as ridiculous as a man. The simple fact is that the world couldn't care less about your struggles. To take a saying from someone else, the world hangs out at the finishing line and picks the winners. And if you're a winner, you get the spoils. And if you're the loser, people go, oh, off you go, loser. You're obviously not doing something right. And so, any time I see, someone saying, or a woman saying, as a woman, or you see, pick group of people that feel like creating an in-group, and they go off and take a photo. In this case, a bunch of women will just segregate themselves off, go and take a photo. It's like, why? What's the fucking point? The sooner we stop all of that shit, get secure in ourselves, then none of this crap has to be done. And usually the only time people intersectionalise themselves like this, like I said, it's a shitty power move, usually done by people trying to extract government money or influence, and by a bunch of people that typically have nothing of any real productive value to offer to society, and this is their way of getting ahead. And to their credit, it's effective. If you're fairly useless, I would set up a union of like-minded and similar-looking people going, right, let's band together and use our influence to exert what we otherwise couldn't do through our own productive means. And if you find yourself as one of those people, you can at least be honest with yourself and say, well, yeah, I'm a bit fucking useless. This is as good as I'm going to do, but be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Or if you don't think you're below average in productivity, you can say, why the fuck am I doing this? I don't go find a bunch of men to have a men's photo with. I find that ridiculous.
Maybe that's because you don't need to, because it's always around men.
And nor should
just throwing it out there.
Nor should any secure, productive.
Sometimes it's about
belonging.
So people need to feel they belong, so they try and find their groups, and I think that it comes down to the why of the belonging.
Yeah.
You know, the why of why you, like. There's nothing wrong with sometimes with some of these groups, but why are they doing it?
Well, if you find that you need to satisfy that particular limb of Maslow's hierarchy by finding people that look the same as you through and have the same immutable characteristics as you, then I dare say that you're artificially creating that sense of belonging, and you'll do a hell of a lot better by finding what it takes to feel more secure in yourself and belonging with a bunch of like-minded people that share the same values as you. And then anyone that comes in and even offers a shred of disrespect to who you are isn't going to even rate on your register. They won't. It just won't
Well,
even,
it's like that
won't
guy that we saw in the office. It didn't register.
Yeah, why would you give a shit?
Paul walked away remembering it. I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I this is the day. I think it's why merit is railed against, because when you can use identity as a mechanism to propel your life, it's kind of easy to hide inside a group. When it's down to you, it's really hard.
Well, you can't see merit.
No, but you can. But you can. Woman or colour. Yeah, but like that's the point. Like if everybody's conscious to merit, and you know, if you start looking for it, you start seeing it more. If everybody's conscious to identity, that's what you start seeing. So this is what you're talking about: immutable characteristics. Because you're a woman doesn't mean anything. Okay, it might mean some very, very broad characteristics that don't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but you're a competent, capable, well put together, respectful human being. Like if I look for those things, I'm likely to see the existence of or the lack of, and I think they're perfectly fine things to make a judgment based on. But when you're making a judgment in the positive or the negative about an identity, it's just so dangerous because it's easy for people to hide in that. So then when you start saying quotas, like how many identities do we need to quota for? So it starts with women. Then it starts with, you know, what is it, BPOCs? Like you get into this kind of thing. And then it's like, no, someone without a leg and someone who identifies as this. It's like it's impossible to actually fulfill a quota-based world, because then the next identity pops up and says, but what about us? We're underrepresented. And it's just like...
You grind society to a halt. We would achieve literally nothing, which we're trying our hardest to get to these days.
I think we really are trying for that, because the range of identities is infinite. How do you quota for that? I just don't get it. But the range of capabilities or, you know, merit-based attributes, it's actually quite finite. So you can quota for that by just making that your exclusive determination. But like, I don't see any problem.
But what about the dumb people, Paul? What are they going to do?
Get smarter.
What about the people that don't want to work? What are they going to do?
Get less lazy? I don't know is the answer, but like, you have to understand that the world fits inside a normal distribution curve. There are always going to be people that are marginalised. That's why we have taxes. That's why we have social security. And I think that's perfectly fine. If you're not capable of being a productive member of society that produces an outcome, well, Like, the world has put a price on that, and unfortunately, it is what Social Security delivers. That's a very harsh way of looking at it, and I do believe in a safety net, but there are people that are just never going to get onto the bottom rung of for
Well, that's
whatever
just a
reason.
fact of life. Anyone that tries to suggest otherwise is completely lying to your face or ignorant.
Or Karl Marx.
It will always be that way. And I get, as a power move, again, this goes back to what I was saying before, it's a lovely power move for someone that's otherwise not going to get to where they want to be to unionise and achieve that level of power. But it will always be that simple way. And anyone that suggests that we can provide for or care for all of these segments and that everyone can have their time in the sun, that's just not how it works. And the real world tells us otherwise, because it just keeps moving on and leaving people behind. And one could say that ever since we've had governments trying to pay more attention to this fairness and social justice, that the outcomes for those that were supposedly there to be helped have gone backwards. I think the average and below average these days have far less reason to participate in society. They haven't been given a reason. They've been further marginalised and crapped on. Whereas you'd actually do a lot better if you left it to people to sort themselves out and accept that you're always just going to have a portion that's just not ever going to be to our liking. It'd be nice if everyone could have, more than they hoped and dreamed for. But that's a physical impossibility in the realm that we occupy. So pretending it's otherwise, I just laugh at it.
Yeah.
I think Elon Musk said it. If you think of the ultimate form of collective bargaining, which is identity, it's just identity-based politics, right? It's just one really gigantic identity, the proletariat. Communism was the ultimate in, collective bargaining, and they built walls to keep people inside communist countries. It's not a very good advert.
And they gave all the power to a very small, concentrated amount of people, and gave the other 99.9999% the illusion that they were running everything, and they weren't.
Yes, the apparatchik ran society.
They got nothing.
For their benefit.
Would have been better if they just kept the royal family in Russia.
Fucking look at Cuba. Christ all fucking mighty. It's not a good place.
Absolutely. It just does not work. And once you accept that reality, then you can start to achieve far better outcomes, but we're not on that path at the moment.
No, I think we are. I think we've hit a tipping point. I think we're going back to merit.
I hope you're right.
I think we are. I'm confident. I think people have just got tired of it. Tired of getting bashed over identity.
And so, I think what I would love to see, to get back to the original question, is no more of this as a woman crap. Just get on with it. Everyone move on. Yeah. And if you come across people that are completely backwards and immature in their thinking and don't assess and judge you as an individual for what you bring to the table, well, fuck them. Yeah. Honestly, who cares? It's not even worth getting worked up about. You'll notice what they're doing, and you're okay, fine. It's like the billionaire that walks into a car yard with nothing but a singlet, some shorts and thongs, and they get talked down to by an inexperienced or dumb used car dealer. But the smart one will always say, well, this is a customer, I know nothing about them, and I'm going to go through the same process that I go through as I would with anybody. Yeah. So that's just how it goes.
Judge for who, not what.
It's just amazing we have to keep repeating this over and over and over again. Like, this isn't something that our forefathers and mothers haven't already come to the realisation thousands of years ago. And yet here we are still doing the same thing. Amazing.
I know Sophie and I have spoken about this. I've been inspired by our conversation. So topic 3 is money, the beliefs that break or build you. What's one belief about money you had to unlearn to grow personally or professionally?
Money is just a scorecard. It's nothing else. I think if you make money the end game, you end up with either an unhealthy attachment to it or an unhealthy detachment from it because it's too intimidating. So if you just think of it as the scorecard, then... Because money is just a proxy for shit, right? Stuff. And you end up being unsatisfied with everything. Like, I've got a nice car and I need a nicer car.
Is that your experience though? Everyone's experience?
I don't know. I have no idea. I think it's when I was younger, money was the motivation. I think just being a bit more relaxed about it and just contemplating it as an abstract thing, not a personal thing, which is, it's just the scorecard, becomes the things, the accoutrement that money can buy you, they become way less important. You're doing things, like, in other words, if you don't have the flash ... whatever ... is, I think you can feel like a failure. So I had that whole thing. If I didn't have the bigger house, if I didn't have the nicer car, if I didn't have this, that meant, versus it's just the scorecard. There's just waypoints along the way.
Yeah.
Zoom out. It's kind of, it makes it a bit easier.
So
I've spent a lot of time thinking about
I
this
know.
lately. And I do think that it is something that you, over time, you build kind of, whether it's a belief or a persona around money. And for me, that has been something that I've struggled with. My relationship with money, I think, running a business, a family business, you as a child growing up, your parents bring home those money beliefs or their money worries, the good things of money as well. And as you grow up, you hold on to those and you don't realise how much they affect you as you grow. Certainly taking over the family business, I haven't made a secret of the fact that cash flow's been an issue in our business. Because we've made such a pivot in the business. Every single cent that we earned got put back into the business. So, yeah, I feel like I've had this blockage around letting the money flow in. And it feels a bit woo-woo and a bit silly, but I do think that there's something behind it, that it's about changing the way that you see money. So, yeah, it's something I'm working on. I suppose I haven't got the answers to it, but I think when money is tight, when you're always wanting, this isn't even a question of I want more, I want to buy things. This isn't even that. This is just within the business and within the family unit, being able to do the things that you want to do, being able to pay everyone every week. I feel like I've put up some sort of walls and, that money's not bad, but that it's difficult. Money's hard. And I think I need to change that to, appreciate when the money comes in and appreciate the fact that I've got the money to go out as well. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't want to get too woo-woo with it, but that is certainly something that I'm seeing at the moment. Who do I see money as? So I'll bring this up. Reading an interesting book lately, and part of it is, imagine that money was a person and money walked in the door right now. For you, what does money look like? So some people are going to see, a perfectly built lady with the big pouty lips and the very expensive handbag and all of those kind of things. I didn't. For me, what I saw was kind of a Jim Carrey type slippery, slimy character that you just couldn't get close to, and that it just could, it was there and then it was gone. Yeah. So it's about, and that was really interesting for me because I had never thought that I saw money that way. So now it's about changing that, who I see money, how I see money, and making it, a friend and someone that you want to spend time with and that isn't slippery and slimy and going to slip out of your fingers. So that is some work that I've been doing lately around how I feel about money. And, I think that I'm good with my money in terms of managing it. It's not about that for me. It's just about how I see it. And being able to, it not being so slippery. Goddamn slippery money.
Thanks for sharing. Marcus.
Yeah, I might get a little bit woo-woo about it.
All good. I said take your shoes off before we started, so go for it.
Well, maybe it's better that I didn't take my shoes off. It is a proxy. There's no doubt about that. something we've artificially created as human beings, but it is reflective of our most important asset that we have in this world, and that's our time. Our time on this earth. Now, it's not linear, obviously. I say that as a caveat, but money reflects that limited finite time you have on this earth, our most precious asset. And a good example of where it can matter is when you get ripped off, because someone has now stolen the thing that you cannot make more of, create more of, and is always starting to run out. As sad as that is to come to that reality, we all deal with it differently at different times in our life. And I see people getting divorced from their money through various insidious methods. One that immediately comes to mind is pay-as-you-go tax, where the government takes your money that you've earned now, rather than you earn your money and pay the government at the end of the year like it used to be. And I can tell you now, if we went back to the old system, people would start to care more about where their tax dollars are going. But people view their money now that they've earned as not theirs. They go, oh no, that's the government's. It just went in tax and I get the leftover and that's what I earn.
We have a separate account in our business for that. That like there's two accounts. So there's the government's money and then there's Quickmail's money.
And people have been divorced from their money. People used to pay the government in arrears and they used to wail on about where governments spent their taxes, and now we're well past that. People don't give two shits where the government spends the money because they just never thought it was theirs in the first place. And so I think divorcing people from their money is ultimately, in many cases, a very nice, great way people go about stealing other people's finite time on earth so that they can accumulate more time for themselves. And up to a point, money will do that. You can now pay someone else to do something you'd rather not do, and now you can enjoy that limited time a lot better. And I think understanding money for its value in that sense is absolutely critical. Otherwise, you're just going to get walked all over for the rest of your life and wonder why you have no money and you're not having the greatest of time. And I think that's why I said before, it's not linear, because up to a certain point, money is absolutely critical to have any enjoyment in life. If you literally have zero and you're not the most grounded monk, you're going to have a bad time. You're just going to have the world's shittest time. And even then, the monks still needed someone to put their time and productive value to build the monastery and to create the system that they enjoy as well. It's just a fact of life that we give parts of our finite time to other people who give us parts of their finite time back to exchange things of value. And money is just the medium by which we do that. But ultimately, I don't think we should ever forget that it's about our finite time being shared with each other. And there's a good way and a fair way to do that, where you can have a good time, and there's a horribly unfair way time to be on the receiving end. And obviously I see a lot of those people every single day of my life. But later on, to complete this non-linear process, money becomes completely worthless and meaningless and an absolute proxy for shit, as Paul said. Take the extreme example that you've got trillions of dollars now. Money is literally no longer an issue. You don't have to lift a finger if you don't want to. You can have anything you want on earth and it'll be there for you. How do you find your purpose in life now? That's actually a bit of a poisoned chalice, a gilded palace, whatever you want to call it. Finding purpose becomes a lot more difficult. And how many times have you seen people with money is not an issue that end up getting hooked on drugs, all sorts of other horrible things, unproductive things with their lives, and being so far off achieving any fulfillment, any sense of purpose. So money can have that impact as well by the time you get to the end of the scale.
I've seen that a lot with second-gen wealth.
Yeah, because if you don't understand the value, if you don't relate it back to your finite time left on earth, you've got a gap. You need to fill it in real quick.
Those people, I don't know why, seem to be husks. Second-gen wealth, like they've just the money's just landed on their lap because someone died. And no, I don't believe in more tax, but I do see the benefits in some sort. I don't like intergenerational wealth from the perspective of second gen tend to be like rent collectors. The first gen seem to be the value adders to society. The second gen are rent collectors. They're collecting rent off their shares, divvy, their property portfolio, whatever it is. They don't have any productive sort of, purpose, as you say. And they're kind of weird people, like very, very strange people. And they spend their days and nights protecting the rent roll, not not doing something with it. And I think the best example is Jamie Packer. Like, that is not a happy human. That's a very, very broken person. I mean, I don't know the man, but the interviews I've seen with him, he discloses that. And whilst that's third gen wealth, it's still, they don't seem to be happy people. That's equally a perverse relationship with money, as I've got no money, or I don't believe I deserve money, or money's hard, or money's slippery, or whatever. I don't think they are necessarily contributing members of society.
Yeah, and in many cases, be careful what you wish for, because if everyone got the money that they wanted and money wasn't an issue, a lot of the purpose of life goes, that the old work will set you free, and in many cases it does. It's not getting the money at the end of the day. Let's talk about the billions that we're all supposed to want. It's the journey on the way there that gives you that purpose and fulfillment in life, and we're wired completely differently than the way some people think. To go back to that very interesting question you raised there, so if money walked in the door, what would it look like? That is a fascinating question. I want to think about it because I don't know what the answer is just yet. But what I think each of our answers to that question would show or reflect is how we viewed our limited time left on Earth. I think it would come back to that.
I won't tell you what I saw then.
What did you see?
Oh, hell no. No, I think I told you. No way.
Weirdly, what came to immediately for me?
Yeah.
The old Jewish accountants in like the 30s that had the little green kind of peak cap and their shirt sleeves always with the little things and the pencil, like they'd sharpen the pencil down to that.
Yeah.
That's a bit of unpacking to do there, Paul.
Interesting. What's your mind?
I immediately went past what money looked like and said, how do I get it into a briefcase and stuff it in there and get it into the bank?
Okay. So you're like the Jewish accountant.
I don't care what it looks like. It's gone in the briefcase.
No, but when you dream about I want to be a billionaire, I want to be a millionaire, I want to be an exionaire, whatever it is, I don't know many people that sit there and think about the specific numbers in the bank account. They think about a boat, a car, a holiday, a house. They think about what the money gets, not, and it might be the lifestyle, it might be the physical things that you can get for it. It might be a private jet, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. Not many people sit there and think, $5 million looks like this in the bank account.
Really? I Photoshop it on my Xero. Because then then I can see it. I don't know, maybe it's weird.
Then put that on your Instagram post.
Hell no!
Look at last year's sales.
And this is how we think and grow rich, apparently. You just got to really want
manifest that shit.
I will share, when Sophie asked, no judging though, I imagine like a really hot guy. He's like buff, dark hair, blue eyes. This may be a mix. I don't know. Maybe I have a lot of unpacking to do. But I imagine like a topless guy. I don't know why I thought that anyway.
Perfectly legitimate. Nothing wrong with that.
Maybe a bad person.
No, but I think in some ways that can mean you have a healthy relationship with money. You say, no, this is an attractive thing.
It's good.
It's a good thing.
I see that.
Is it?
I view the rest of my finite time in a positive way, and I would interpret that in the sense that you're feeling good about how you're dealing and managing the limited leftover time you have on this earth. Whereas, when you might not have, say, what you previously seemed to have an unhealthy relationship with money, you view it as this slimy, greasy, creepy sort of thing, and that might be something where you just sit there and go, okay, why is that?
Yeah.
But then, we're all very complex creatures. I'm just spitballing here off the top of my head.
I might have seen a hobo had you asked me last year, June.
The fact that I can get an image and that I immediately went to a solutions approach of stuffing the money in a briefcase.
It's a great question.
It could say any one of a number of things to people that would want to psychoanalyse me. But at least I've got the money in the briefcase. That's not,
I worry generally about the human condition. We spend a lot of time thinking about the why. I think a lot of people sort of spend like 60% thinking about why, and it's particularly when it's things they're not doing. Straight away it's like, I have to unpack why I'm not doing it. Yeah. And then it might be, 35% about what do I have to do? It's like, let's say I'm unfit. Why am I unfit? What's my relationship with fitness? All of these sorts of, and I'm certainly not being demeaning of your process that you're going through. But like people seem to spend about 5%, not even 5%, maybe 3% in how am I actually going to fix this? And then they spend maybe 2% in actually getting on and doing it. I have a client who like just had to make sales calls to get money in the door.
Yeah.
And just didn't do it. Week in, week out, week in. It's like, let's just go over this. This is what we've got to do. This is how we're going to do it. And every single week, I just really need to sit down and think about why I'm not making the calls. And in the end, I said, open up your zero. And he's like, yeah. Have a look at the cash at bank. Like, it's almost nil.
Pick up the fucking...
That's why you have to fucking do it, because you've got no money. Like, you need... I would say that I do think there's a lot of, the toil, there's a lot of meaning in toil. And it's okay to do things for the wrong reasons. Yeah. Even if you've got a bad relationship with money, there's a certain group of activities you need to do to make money and then do it. Like I would index to 95% just do the shit, even if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, and maybe 5% lay awake in the middle of the night and wonder about your relationship with cold calls or whatever it happens to be, this whole why thing. But because society generally has got so far up that Maslow's hierarchy that seriously, nobody struggles. Nobody in Perth, and again, I'm being kind of overly simplistic here. I don't think there are many people that, because they've got a roof over their head. Yeah. You're not in fucking sub-Saharan Africa where like you're walking 35 k's to get a cup of rice to feed the tribe.
You're living better than royalty in the 1800s.
Right. So like we live a very comfortable life. I think it affords us too much time to sit around and stare at our navel wondering about the why of it. The big thing I see in business particularly is people don't do. Yeah. They spend a lot of time wondering. I said, stop fucking wondering about it. Like if it's basic, do it. Just get on and fucking do it. The marathon runners that live their life reading another marathon book.
People do that?
Lace up and fucking run.
Or those break dancers that get a degree in breakdancing and think they can go to the Olympics. Yeah. It's the classic conundrum of, do I read the manual or do I take the toy out and start pushing buttons?
Just do it, yeah.
And there's a bit of both to it. It's not all one or all the other.
The learning is in the doing.
Yes. In many cases, you got to do both. But if you can change an inefficient neural pathway, just answering that why question, that's gold when it hits. But you can't just say, I'm going to change a neural pathway today. I'm going to sit down and think about it until it's changed. Because, like you've said, it's the doing that gets you there. But having those moments of clarity, when they come, and riding with them, and sometimes saying, okay, I've pushed all the buttons, I'm going to crack out the manual now, and maybe I'm going to learn. And how many times do you learn something? I didn't know that did that.
Yeah, but it might amplify the doing. I always go back to the sub-Saharan African that's starving. I don't think they ever sit down at the start of a 15k run to go and get a cup of water for the family. They're not sitting there thinking, why haven't I got water? Why do I not have water? It's like, I'm fucking thirsty. Best I run. I'll go get myself a pail of water, and by the time I get back, it's going to be a big glass.
Yeah.
We can all have a sip. And I'm not being demeaning to the plight of the people in Africa just before your listeners get triggered. It's just people who don't think about why, unless we're somehow in this like Western world that we all live in. Whereas if you have a bit of a whoopsie and trip up, like there's always social security. No one's going to struggle.
Yeah.
But when you're doing something and you're doing it over and over and over again, and it's not yielding, you do need to sometimes stop and reflect.
I get it.
And take a breath and then go again.
And you're very much like that. I know that specifically of you. I'm probably more talking about the people that spend 85-90% of their life walking around thinking, I'll get another manual, I'll have a think about why, I'll do all of these kind of woo-woo things.
Is there a book?
I'm going to go to a training course.
Yeah,
listen to a podcast.
I'll listen to a guru. All of these, which are just forms of procrastination, they're the people, and like typically, I know this sounds horrible, they're really fucking selfish because they do things like not pay. And they expect everyone to scoop in and help them out. It's like, hang about. Like, you engaged in this product or service.
Yeah.
Like, you're a big boy or big girl. Like, I find those people very, very caught up in their own world versus like you, Sophie, you say it a lot. You know, I've got families to fucking feed, 20 or 30 families to feed. You have a responsibility beyond yourself. So whilst you have these existential moments of worrying about or wondering about why, 90% of your days is just fucking get on and do it. The people that just go full, like 90% why, they are universally, I think, selfish people because they're all caught up in their own woes and they don't have time or attention or space to think about the impact they're having.
Yeah, it is a procrastination thing. I agree. When people get a bit overwhelmed by what they have to do, you know, they can say, look, we're going to get 100 invoices out today and it's going to take one of us 2 hours to do, and that one person doesn't want to do it. So what do? They call a meeting. Well, we need to discuss the 100 invoices, and we need to talk about how we can get 4 people on the team and break it up into 25 invoice chunks, and then we need to have an invoice strategy meeting. It's like by the time you finished all that, you could have just done the fucking invoice. Oh, we're going to talk about which one we do first.
I don't think you can get away with that in small business.
No, and I'm using this as a simplified example because you see it all the time. And the answer, and this is where I do agree with Paul, is pick up the first one in front of you and do it. Don't even think about which one's the most important. Yeah. Just do that. And then it's always the case. I mean, how many times have we heard this? It's just getting started that is the most important thing. And once you're 5 minutes in, you're on the hamster wheel and you're...
I think break it down though, like, because when I started running, I went from 0 to 5Ks in 2 weekends and I got cankles. So yeah, break it down. Don't go too hardcore. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. But yeah, so if there's a goal, like just break it down. And I know Paul always says this.
The learning is in the toil. You ran, you overstretched yourself,
I had cankles. It was awful.
You learnt, you moderated, you probably learned how to pace more effectively.
Yeah,
all these
build
things.
up slowly.
It's better than listening to 100 podcasts on efficient running.
Yes.
I don't get these people overthink. Again, maybe it's just
So
me.
many
Like, why
people do it.
think about something
So
for
many
2
people do it.
years about doing
So many
something?
people do
Just bloody do it.
Because it makes people feel better.
Yeah.
Guys, I do want to quickly go over rapid fire. So just,
Yes.
I'm going to say a word and then just whatever comes to mind. I'm mindful we've got like 4 minutes to do this. So the first word, Paul, we'll start with you. Power. What does it really mean to you?
Competence.
Soph?
Power.
What does it really mean
Inner belief. So, yeah, like an inner belief in someone.
Yeah.
Control.
Responsibility.
Authority and control. No, when I hear power, I think authority, control, and often in a bad way.
Right.
Because it does corrupt.
So I think responsibility. The next word is sacrifice. What's one you've made that no one sees?
I asked you this the other day on the podcast.
I kind of stole it.
Go around the other way, please. Let me think.
Marcus, sacrifice. What's one you've made that no one sees?
Everyone's always seen my sacrifices because I bitch and moan about it.
Soph?
Wow, this is hard.
Or what comes to mind when I say the word sacrifice?
Gosh, I'm struggling, and it's not because I haven't made any.
That's okay. That's okay.
I can
Paul,
say-
Paul, you ready?
One that people see it, but maybe the public doesn't see it. Is it? I can sacrifice those closest to me, friendships, family, for the sake of what I believe to be my responsibility.
Yeah, I think that's where I sit too.
I've got one now. I sacrificed my diet when I started my business, and cash was very, very tight. And I got to the point saying, right, every single day for lunch, I'm going to have toasted ham and cheese. And I worked out the cost, and I even said, okay, there's one slice of ham. You're not getting 2 in there. There's the slice of cheese. That's the bread, and you're going to buy it all at the start of the week. You're going to toast that up. Did I necessarily have to do that to survive? No, but it was a mentality that I created in myself to take what I wanted to achieve seriously. Yeah. To say, if you really want to do this and you really want to maximise your chances, you're going to do this. And so I did that for the first year or 2 before I finally said, okay, you probably don't have to do that anymore. Not great for the diet, I'll say that. Yeah, but cost effective.
Yes. It's strange for me. The word that comes to mind is growth. When I think of sacrifice, the last word is stillness. Where does it show up in your business or life, Paul?
Stillness.
600 Ks in a week on a mountain.
I think that's my still.
Yeah.
I know it's active, but it's the place where my mind is exclusively focused on one thing,
Yeah.
which is the headset on it's the computer,
Yeah.
my bike computer. I'll just stare at that.
So?
Yeah, probably it's getting on a horse for me.
Yeah. Marcus?
Combination. Sometimes just playing my guitar, but every single day when the day's over, even on weekends, I go for a walk, often around the river. That's usually when I'll put a podcast on, and I find that gets me into an almost meditative state that I like to be in. It's never I never have no noise whatsoever. I like to have a little bit in that regard, but I can just tune out and not listen to a few minutes of the podcast, and it's no big deal. It's not like I'm intensely listening, and I'm always gathering something out of it, and it just helps me unwind from the day. I end up in the kitchen afterwards, cooking something from scratch, and it continues that stillness.
Yeah.
And is a very important part of my day that I always enjoy. I don't like to say look forward to, because I actually like doing what I do during the day, but then this moment is a moment that I love having every single day, and helps my mind slow down and get back to where it needs to be.
Yeah, I think for me with stillness, it's that fitness time, it's running, it's doing 25Ks. That's like my cathartic time.
I used to count steps when I ran, so I could
I
probably...
remember you saying, jeez.
I could tell you along the coast. I used to be able to tell you, like
I
point
get up
to
to
point.
10, then I'm like, nah, thinking about this.
Once you get to the pain point, do you...
What do you mean pain point?
when running's uncomfortable now, and
Yeah.
everyone gets to that, the discomfort point. Do you go left, right? Do you ever get to that point where you just say, right, I'm just going to focus on left foot, left, right?
No, actually, you kind of just go to another place for some. I think I do start. I remember Paul telling me just to count and focus on that, but then I get up to 10 and my mind goes somewhere else. But when it's really bad, this is going to sound really strange. I actually imagine myself in a video game, just running. I don't know why. And I'm like, well, you've got 7K to get home, and you can either call an Uber or call your mom. Which one's going to be? And I'm like, you just shut up and just run. So then I run.
Yeah, it's amazing. I find it interesting what we do with our mind when we get to those points of discomfort where we get right out of our comfort zone. Simple thing like doing a dead hang at the gym for past your personal best, and you go, right, I want to do another 5 or 10 seconds. And I always like asking people what mind games they play on themselves. I shut my eyes for as long as possible before I look back at the clock, but just before I look at the clock and open my eyes, I always go, please give me, don't be a shitty amount of seconds going by. Be a good number, please. But it's funny how we do that to ourselves.
Just need like a distraction.
I love the pain. I like.
It's a bit twisted. I know what you mean. Like it's.
But it's that. I do believe that pain is truth, right? So if the more you can suffer, the closer you get to actual truth, not perceived truth. And I think if you, like a lot of people waste a lot of energy in business, in life, in training, fighting the pain, and the pain is inevitable.
You got to lean into it.
Yeah, eat the pain, right? So I always try and imagine it as something external to me, and something that's a part of the thing. So like, if that's what it is, if I'm climbing up this mountain, and that's what it is, I try and think about it as something external, and kind of think, oh, okay, it's got to this point now. Okay, that's a good thing. That would be expected. Blah blah blah. Like I just really I actually focus on it. Whereas a lot of people say, oh, focus on trying to think about something else. It's like you can't. So why do that? So I'm very much about like, well, that's what it is. Let's just get at it and kind of sit with it. That can have some very bad physical outcomes at the end of it, but I've passed out too many times from training to even try to remember it.
You
but
passed out.
Yeah, I've been scraped off Challenger Parade by a lady laying on the ground, and she rolled up and said, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, "Yep, why?" You're laying on the ground. Oh, yeah, I was just doing some sprint training. Do you want to lift home? No, just give me 30 seconds. I should be fine.
Oh my word.
I've done that too.
Okay,
I knocked over an entire group of people on an indoor trainers. I passed out on my indoor trainer and went like
You're pushing yourself too
yeah.
much. So
yeah.
not even like, is that past vom phase?
I won't tell you about vom phase for me. That's absolutely disgusting.
Guys, thank you so much for all that you've shared today. So we will have another episode, I think it's in November.
Oh, yay.
I'm
just joking, Tracy.
Sarcasm, geez, like, I can find someone else.
No.
All right, to our listeners, thank you so much for listening.